Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we winter sow foxglove seeds. So let's go. If you've been very successful with the winter sowing process and you've been doing it for a while now and it's worked for you, feel free to jump to the timestamp below to learn more about what foxglove plants are and how to winter sow the seeds. Winter sowing is the process of sowing seeds outdoors during the winter months. You can simply scatter the seeds out on the ground, or you can sow the seeds in some sort of a container or pot. When it comes to what kind of container or pot to use, there are so many different choices out there. The big thing is you want to make sure it's translucent or clear. I like to use milk jugs, but I know other people have used juice jugs, rotisserie chicken containers, totes. The possibilities are endless. The big thing is, no matter what container you choose, you want to make sure that it can hold at least 4 inches of soil in it. Your containers should have holes in the top to allow water or moisture to come in. The containers should also have holes in the bottom to allow for proper drainage of water. I like to use potting mix. You can use whatever works for you. The key is to make sure that it's well draining and also that it retains some moisture. You don't want to use a seed starting mix because it's too light, too fluffy, and it will dry out way too quickly. You also don't want to use garden soil because it's very heavy and it's too compacted, which makes it difficult for roots to grow in. There are a ton of benefits when it comes to winter sowing. It's very easy to do, it's cheap. It doesn't require any additional equipment. You don't need any grow lights. You don't need any room inside your house. Another benefit to the winter sowing process is that the seeds will get a natural cold stratification period. That's very important for certain seeds such as perennial seeds. And in the end, your seedlings will be stronger, they'll be healthier, and they'll already be hardened off. You don't need to do the whole hardening off process like you would have to do if you started your plants indoors. Now, there is a certain timeline that you want to follow when it comes to winter sowing. If you start your seeds too early, there is a chance that those seeds will germinate prematurely, and if you get a cold snap, some of those plants that germinate quickly can die. However, if you start your seeds too late, what will happen is certain seeds, like the ones I talked about earlier that need a certain period of cold stratification time, they might not get that full period of cold stratification that those seeds need. So timing is everything. Now, of course, when it comes to the timing, it's going to vary from location to location. A general guideline is you do your winter sowing sometime starting in the month of December, but you want to be done with it sometime about 2 to 3 weeks before your average last frost date. But I want to give you a more specific timeline that I'm going to be following and that you can follow as well. So about 5 to 6 months before your average last frost date, you want to be sowing seeds that are requiring a cold stratification period. And those are usually perennials that are hardy in your area where you live. About 3 to 4 months before your average last frost date, that's a great time to be starting cold hardy plants. Plants that can tolerate cold, but also plants that reseed very easily in your area. Approximately 1 to 2 months before your average last frost date is a good time to start plants that are not cold hardy, plants that do better in warmer temperatures. Now, keep in mind though that when those seeds germinate, if you are going to have a cold snap, if you're going to have some cold nights, cold days, you want to protect those seedlings. You may need to cover them during that time. You may need to bring in your containers just for a few nights during those cold snaps. I want to add in a few extra tips. If you're running out of containers and you don't know where to get containers like milk jugs from, you can always reach out to local coffee shops because a lot of times you go through milk jugs and water jugs very quickly, and they should be able to give them to you for free. But just give them a heads up and let them know what you're looking for. I've reached out to Starbucks and they've hooked me up with milk jugs in the past. Also, some people like to pre-moisten their entire potting mix before they put it in their container, and that works for them. For me, I just moisten the top layer of my potting mix and then I put my milk jugs outside. And the reason is we have freezing cold temperatures for a number of months during the winter. So there's no use of me having to pre-moisten the whole entire 4 inches of soil. I just do the top layer and then I let Mother Nature take over. We get a lot of snow, and if we don't get snow, we get a lot of rain during the winter months. I like to corral or put all my containers right up next to each other so they support each other, especially on those very windy days. We don't get a ton of wind here in New Hampshire. Where you live, maybe it's a very, very windy area. So you may need to corral your containers in some sort of structure or put something around them just so that they don't blow in the wind. We're going to start with a quick plant profile of what foxglove is, and then after that we'll go ahead and winter sow our seeds. I want to share some fun facts about foxglove with you. Did you know that each foxglove plant can produce millions of seeds? The seeds are tiny, and when I've collected the seed pods before, and I've made videos showing you my process for doing that, I'll put a link down in the description below. Each seed pod has so many tiny little seeds inside of it. It's really amazing. This next fact I never knew about, and I bet you didn't either. The name foxglove comes from the idea that the flowers are the right size and shape for foxes to wear on their teeny tiny little paws. Foxgloves are a cottage garden favorite. They have spires of bell-shaped, bee-friendly, tubular flowers, and they come in lots of different colors. You'll find them in peach, white, purple, and pink, just to name a few. I've winter sown foxglove from seed for a number of years now, and I've been very successful at it. It's actually a very easy plant to grow from seed. I've only grown the biennial version of foxglove, which means the first year it produces leaves, but it doesn't flower. And then the second year, that same plant flowers. And after it flowers that year, it sets seed, but then the plant itself dies. And then the cycle just continues on as long as those seeds have dropped. As some of you know, I have a backyard plant nursery where I sell plants right out of my driveway. A couple of years ago, I had, I don't know, maybe about 30 or 40 foxglove plants that were all blooming. I sold out of every single one. And it's kind of a funny story, but I forgot to save one of those plants just for my own garden. So this year, you better believe it, I will be saving some plants and putting them out in my own landscape to enjoy because it really is such a pretty plant. My sister-in-law had gotten some of those foxgloves for her yard, and she sent me some pictures. They looked so pretty blooming in her landscape. And currently in my plant nursery, I have a number of foxglove plants that didn't bloom last year. So this will be the year that they'll bloom, and I can't wait. Foxglove is hardy in zones 3 through 9, depending on the variety. And even though the plant is not native in the United States, the common foxglove, also known as Digitalis purpurea, is native in areas of Western Europe. And it also has naturalized in parts of North America, including the Pacific Northwest. There are a number of different varieties out there, so when you buy your seeds, just check to see if you're getting an annual, a biennial, or a short-lived perennial. The plants bloom from late spring into the summer months, and they thrive in full sun, but they also will do well in a part shade condition. There are some dwarf varieties that stay on the shorter side to about 1 to 3 feet in height, but then there are some taller varieties that can get even 3 to 4 feet in height. The key is foxglove make a great cut flower. So if you want to add them as part of a bouquet or an arrangement, you definitely want to be growing this plant in your yard. But not all foxglove make great cut flowers. If you're wondering which varieties are the best ones, I did a little research on that, and I found the Camelot Mix, Sutton's Apricot, Digitalis purpurea alba, which is the white foxglove, or Digitalis grandiflora make the best cut flowers. The plant, because of the way the flowers are, attract a lot of pollinators, including bees, butterflies, and even the hummingbirds. This seems to be true of a lot of flowers in our yard, but foxglove can be very toxic. So you want to be sure you're very careful. You don't want to be ingesting it. You don't want your pets or your children to ingest it either. And when you're handling the seeds, just make sure you wash your hands afterwards. The plant is considered deer as well as rabbit resistant, but you know how deer are. If they're very hungry and there's not a lot of food around for them, you may find them nibbling on your foxglove. Foxglove will rebloom for you, but you need to be very diligent. As soon as a flower stalk is done blooming, you want to cut that flower stalk well before it goes to seed. And that way it tells the plant to keep producing more blossoms for you. So be diligent about it because it really is worth it for your foxglove to bloom a few times during the growing season. But with that said, if you do want to have foxgloves going to seed and dropping their seeds for you, there is a certain point where you want to stop deadheading your plant. Some seeds need light to germinate, other seeds need darkness to germinate. It really depends on the seed. When it comes to foxglove, they need light to germinate. So I will just be pressing the seeds into the soil surface, and that's it. If you do want to cover the seeds, just to hold the seeds in place, you can put in a very light layer of vermiculite or potting mix or seed starting mix on your seeds, but it needs to be about 1/8 of an inch or less. The seeds benefit from what's called a cold stratification period. For me, I'll be placing my foxglove seeds outdoors and they will naturally get that cold stratification period. However, if you did want to grow the seeds indoors under, let's say, grow lights, you need to give the seeds a cold stratification period. You can do that by putting the seeds in your refrigerator for about 2 weeks time. Also, if you are planning to grow the foxglove plants indoors under your grow lights, you want to start those seeds about 10 to 12 weeks before your average last frost date. And then on a final note, for anyone that's going to be starting foxglove seeds indoors for under their grow lights, these plants do well without a heat mat. In other words, after you've sown your seeds, just let them be. You don't need to then put your tray or your cell pack on top of a heat mat because the seeds actually prefer a little bit of a cooler temperature. Okay, so let's go ahead and sow our foxglove seeds. You can see that my foxglove seeds are seeds that I've collected. We'll be winter sowing these ones right here, not all of them, just some of them. They're either a pink or cream colored foxglove. And then these ones over here are a pale peach color. I'll be using a milk jug. No matter what container you use, you want to make sure that you've cleaned it out. I want 4 inches of potting soil in my container. So when I make my cut from my mini greenhouse here, I'll be making it just below the handle here because the handle will act as a hinge. I like to use these cutting shears or tin snips, and they're perfect for me, but you can also use something like a scissors or anything else that's sharp. Just be careful with all sharp objects. And you can see how I can use the handle to open my little mini greenhouse on those hot days, but then when it's going to be cold again, I can go ahead and close it. I threw away the cap. I want to leave this open to allow water, rain, or any moisture to enter my greenhouse. But I'm also going to be adding additional holes in the top. That's optional. I also want to add holes in the bottom. That will allow for water to drain out of my container. And if I choose to bottom water my container, I also can easily do that because of the holes that are in the bottom of it. It's up to you how many holes you want to add in your container. I like to add more than less. And because the bottom of my container is not very large, I don't plan on adding any holes in the center here. You can do that if you want to. I advise you to do it if you are using a much larger container than a milk jug or a water jug. The next step is to fill this with some potting mix. Since I go through so much potting mix each year for different projects, I like to make my own potting mix. I'll put a link to that video down in the description below in case you're interested in making your own potting mix. I'm just pressing down on my potting mix because I want to make sure I eliminate any air pockets that might be in here. And it's worth mentioning, you don't want to use seed starting mix. It's just too light, too fluffy, and it'll dry out too fast. Make sure you're using something that's well draining, but also something that can retain moisture. And here are the seeds that we will be sowing today. I like to heavily sow my seeds. You can sow as many or as little as you want. The big thing is when it comes time to pricking out the little seedlings, you want to do it after the plant has a few sets of leaves on it. The seeds are tiny, so I don't know how many seeds are there, but there are quite a few. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sow those seeds. And I'm going to try to space the seeds out the best I can, but there are a lot in here. When you think about it, we are doing what Mother Nature does. We are basically sprinkling our seeds. We're going to press them in a little, but that's it. When the seeds drop off of a plant out in your landscape, the same thing happens. The seeds drop onto the soil, and no one's there doing any intervention with those seeds. They basically get pressed in because of maybe you stepped on those seeds or they got rained on and the rain pressed the seeds into the soil. And that's all that we're doing also. We'll be pressing down the seeds so that the seeds make good contact with the soil. We'll be watering them in, and then we'll just let Mother Nature do her thing. So now I'm just going to press down on the seeds so that the seeds make good contact with that potting soil. I'm going to add a label to the inside of my container, and the reason is the label on the outside might get worn out. It usually doesn't, but just in case it does, I have a label on the inside, and I like to use a garden marker. I have found that garden markers seem to work better than Sharpies because they don't seem to wear off as much. I'm using this small hand pump sprayer to water the top of my seeds. Again, you may need to fully water your potting mix because of where you live. Maybe it's very dry. And I'm spraying gently. I don't want to dislodge or move my seeds around. And I'm just wiping the outside of my container with a paper towel because it did get a little wet. And the next step will be to add some duct tape, and we want to make sure that it can stick. I do like to use duct tape. I don't use it all the way around my container. I found just by adding 2 or 3 pieces is sufficient, and that way I don't waste as much of the duct tape. Now, some people like to punch holes in the top and the bottom here, and then use something like a pipe cleaner or a twisty tie to close their container. So there are different ways you can do this next step. I'm making sure to press down. I want to make sure that the duct tape is nice and sticky on my container. Years ago, I used to write directly on the container. I don't like doing that anymore because I like to reuse my container. I found that the milk jugs and the water jugs can last 2, maybe even 3 seasons. So it's worth keeping them if you can at the end of the season. So instead, I'm adding the plant name on the duct tape. It's optional, but I do like to add it on both sides. And even though I'm writing the name of the plant on here, some people like to just label a number on here, like number 1. And then on their list or spreadsheet that they have, they say 1 has foxglove in it, 2 has a different plant in it, 3 something else. So you can do that as well if you don't want to write all the names on each of your containers. I'll be placing my container in a full sun location. It'll be crowded with all my other containers. You can put it in a shadier location if you're finding that your containers are drying out too quickly. You also want to make sure that you do something so that they don't blow around in the wind. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'll be making a lot of update videos, including when the seeds have germinated, how to fertilize foxglove plants, how to thin them out and pot them up or put the plants in the landscape, as well as how to deadhead the foxglove plant. I love reading comments from you. Let me know, have you had success growing foxglove? If so, which kind? And how did you grow them? Did you grow them using winter sowing, grow the seeds indoors, or did you just scatter the seeds outdoors in your landscape? Until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.